one of the biggest things for me actually is my confidence and my self-worth. Um, I had like such bad low self-esteem, low self-worth, huge imposter syndrome for years, like years and years and years and years. I mean, even up to the point of that didn't really start to shift and start to go through that journey until about 2015, 2016. So even the first few books, I was like, and that what's interesting about that is that I didn't have any confidence initially in my own voice. So not that I was plagiarizing or copying people's words, but I was copying their style because I didn't have confidence in my own self and my voice. So because my first few books are very spiritual, and I was a huge fan at the time, I mean, I still am, but I was a huge fan at the time of Hay House. So because I was like, I want to be a Hay House author, so I was just copying that kind of style in the belief that was what's going to lead me to my goal.
Okay. Hi, everyone. How are you? My name is Lisa Brierley. Welcome back to Soulmates and Suitcases. Unfortunately, you don't see my husband here tonight, but his presence is getting me through. If you are new to Soulmates and Suitcases, our podcast is a place where we have honest conversations about healing, resilience, relationships, mental health, and of course, share our stories, which are ours. They're our stories. And today we have a special guest with us today. We'd like to welcome Katie Oman. Welcome, Katie.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you so much for having me on, darling. I'm so excited to have this chat with you today. It's going to be awesome.
It is going to be awesome. I'm very grateful to have you on today, Katie. So for everyone listening, Katie is a multi-passionate entrepreneur, a women's empowerment coach, author, a book coach, a ghostwriter, events organizer who focuses on helping women reconnect with who they truly are. She's written 11 books of her own and has helped 28 more books to come into our amazing world through her coaching and publishing program. So I think this is going to be a very, very cool and amazing conversation today, Katie. And so, Katie, let's begin. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know it's kind of an open question, but and maybe a little bit about the work that you do.
Yes, thank you so much. So yeah, you read my list, I'm like, good Lord, I do a lot of things.
It's a lot.
I do. But yeah, I'm based here in the UK. I am mum of three. So my eldest is 23 and I have 13-year-old twins. So that's fun. But yeah, I'm on my own with them as well. So I think I should get a gold star or something on there.
Yes, it's on there.
Yeah, absolutely. But in terms of the work that I do, I mean, I have been self-employed since 2018. And really kind of leaned in and owned it. But at the same time, it's come in stages, right? Because we're ever growing, evolving, reflecting, refining. So the first thing I did actually was write my first book back in 2013, which has been like a lifelong secret dream. You know, it's one of those things like I didn't really talk about, but it kind of sat in me for years and years and years. And my twins were born in 2012. And so I was a stay-at-home mom for the first 4 years of their life because childcare is stupidly expensive, especially for twins. So I had 3 kids, a husband, a house, and I thought, I laugh because people go, you mad? But I thought if I was ever going to lean in and try and write something, now was the time to do it. Because although I was busy, it was the only thing in my life at that point that was truly mine. Because my whole day was about other people. This was like for me. And so wrote my first book, self-published it. You know, you have the dream, don't you, that, you know, you're going to write a book, you're going to send it off, you're going to then be on like the, you know, Times bestseller list and all the things. And it doesn't tend to go that way for the majority. But being the stubborn person that I am, I was like, well, I'm going to self-publish it then. And that led me on the journey. But it wasn't until 2018 when I became a single parent that I realized that financially it made more sense for me to own the work that I was already doing and to like register as self-employed. But then even that was another inclination because initially, actually, the majority of my work was spiritual and psychic. So I was giving tarot readings. I've written for UK national magazines. I was doing workshops. I was doing online courses. It was all very spiritual based. And I'm still spiritual. I'm still a psychic. Those things haven't gone away. But COVID came, and I was just like, as well as homeschooling, I was just doing tarot reading, tarot reading, tarot reading, tarot reading. And I was really blessed that people were coming to me for guidance, of course. But by the end of it, I was burnt out completely. I was like, if I have to pick up another tarot deck, I'm going to cry. And so I'm a big advocate that when you are at the crossroads in life, the answers will be given if you're open to them, right? And so a friend of mine, she put on a post on Facebook saying that she was training to read the Akashic records and was anybody like to be a guinea pig for free. And I'm like, oh, me please, me please. So she did me a reading, and one of the things that came back was, your purpose in this life is to empower women and girls. You're already doing it. You just need to own it. And I got goosebumps, and I was like, yeah, because the tarot readings were coaching sessions. 90% of my clients, 95% were women. I'd already done women's events. Like, I was already doing the thing. I just wasn't owning the thing. So I did a rebrand, and yeah, leaned into it, and I've been doing it ever since. And I love it. I mean, being self-employed is not necessarily the easiest of roads to take. There's lots of ups and downs, and there are good days, bad days, like any job. But what I love is that I get to do what I want to do in the way that I want to do it when I want to do it. I mean, I was chatting to a lady a couple of weeks ago, and she's self-employed, and she was saying, at this point, we are unemployable because you've been self-employed for so long. I can't work for anybody else now. Like, this is me.
Yes, you know how to schedule your day.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, that's it in a nutshell. And like I say, it still continues to grow and evolve and refine. But ultimately, my passion and my purpose to empower women, to help them see what sometimes they can't see for themselves. I see their magic, I see their light, I see their power, and I help them in whatever way they feel they need to help them see that for themselves.
Now, when you were telling your story, and you were talking about in 2012 you had your twins.
Yes.
2013 you were writing or publishing your book.
Yes.
And I've like, being an author myself, I've spoken to many people who have said to me, "Oh, someday I'm going to write a book. Oh, so when I'm not so busy, or like when." So like, you have to just do it. So how did you find time in your day? Like, what did that look like for you to write?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned, actually, because at that point I didn't own really. It was a very old computer that we had, and I didn't have a printer. And my mom, being my mom, was like, "I want a copy of your manuscript before you publish it." So I was like, "Okay." So I had to go to the library to print it off, and like, of course, it was a big old thing, and I was taking up the printer and paper and all that sort of stuff. And the librarian came over and she said, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, it's my book." And she was like, "Oh, I'm writing a book." I was like, "Oh, fantastic. What's yours?" And I think hers was history based. And so I was like, "Well, good luck with it. I hope it goes well." When I came back to do my second book, which I think 15 months later, perhaps, something like that, and she was like, "Oh, don't tell me you've written another one." And I was like, "Yeah, sorry." She's like, "I'm still on the first one." I was like, "Oh." But I mean, I say to my clients, and there's always an exception to every rule, right? But on the whole, if I paid for you for, like, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 months to go to a cabin in the woods with the proviso that you had to write your book, right? The majority of your time you wouldn't, actually. You would be cleaning the cabin, you would be going out for walks, right? You would be making little, I don't know, like nature decorations or something. You wouldn't write because the pressure would be huge. When people think, "I'll write the book when I have more time," actually, creativity doesn't work like that. Creativity doesn't go, "Oh, she's got a block of time now, I better show up." Right? Creativity is like water. It flows, it comes and goes like the tide when it wants to, and you have to grab it when it comes in. So for me, I got greedy with the free time that I had. I didn't have a lot of it, fair, and I am completely old school. I do notebook and pen first. And so I would have it with me all the time. And so anytime that I had even like 5 minutes, I would sit and I would write something down. And by creating that routine for myself, a habit for myself, was the book written quickly? No. Was the book written? Yes, absolutely it was. It just, it was drip fed, but it came through me. And I genuinely believe that first book was channeled because it was so,
Can you
although,
explain that? Can you explain that to our
yes,
audience? Because that is
yes,
something new for many people to
yes,
understand. I've heard the word channeling before. I've heard the
yes,
word downloading before. So
yes,
can you
yes.
explain that?
Yes. So for those who don't know, channeling or downloads is like it feels for the sake of clarity, I suppose, it feels like it's plopped in your head from somewhere else. Because I mean, I'm a believer that imagination is download anyway. I think that our imagination is coming from something bigger than ourselves, whatever you want to call that, spirit, the universe, angels, guides, whatever. I think our imagination is downloading all the time. But for me, this book, because to a point, it wasn't a struggle. So it was kind of like when I say like water, like the ideas and the story and the characters they were there. It almost to the point like I felt like it was a window on another dimension or another world. I was being allowed to see someone that already existed. I was just capturing them and writing their story. So it was the weirdest thing, but it made writing the first book very pleasurable and relatively easy. It wasn't. I didn't get a massive like writer's block or anything like that.
What is your first book all about?
But the first book actually was a novel. It's aside from the current book I'm working on at the moment is another novel, but I haven't written one since. But it's a book called Chasing Rainbows under my married name, and it was a book about a woman because I always write the book that of the experience I'm going through at the time, right? So I write what I know, and this was a book about a spiritual awakening and discovering who you are, and then working with the angels. Certain family members, pushing back against it and thinking that she was slightly crazy or like she was making it up, but actually realizing that her destiny was bigger than she'd ever perceived it to be. So, like I say, and it was it was joy. It was joy, and realizing after carrying that wish and that dream for the majority of my life, to finally lean in and allow myself to actually do it. It was like taking the biggest exhale. Like I'm holding my breath for so long I hadn't realized.
That's so funny. I just watched the movie last night, Waiting to Exhale, and now you're telling me that you're exhaling. That's pretty funny. Now, the people that come to you to write, do they have similar styles to you? Like, who are you attracting and how are you supporting them to write?
Absolutely. So I mean, what's been great for me, initially I got a lot of spiritual nonfiction or like spiritual memoir, and I still get them from time to time. I do think your tribe, your vibe attracts your tribe. So I tend to get a lot of women and a lot of women who are spiritually awakened to some degree, which is cool because obviously they don't have to like overly explain stuff to me, or I don't think they're weird, or like I get what they're trying to say, and like I help them to write it in a way that's accessible. But I've had novels, I've had memoirs, I had a book on intermittent fasting, I had a children's book. And that's also one of the great joys of it is that I love story. Regardless of whether it's fiction or non-fiction, I love people's stories and being able to um, being allowed perhaps to step into their world with them, I think is such an honor. But I mean, it really depends on where they're at. And I always try and meet them where they're at. So for some people, they've never written a word in their life since they left school. So they want a lot of not only support on how to do it, but they want a lot of emotional nurturing on doing it as well.
Hand
Right?
holding, hand
Yeah.
holding. Yeah,
Yeah,
get you
yeah,
through.
absolutely. So it's very much a step by step. I've got you kind of process. Other people, it's they've written stuff before, so it's more kind of accountability, editing, formatting. So it really depends on where they're at, and I just try and meet them in that space. That I haven't at this point, like I say, 28 books have been written so far through the process, more in development. One of my clients called me the book doula. She said that I help women give birth to their stories, and sometimes the labor pains are very difficult, but we get it out. So it's just it's a very cool thing to do.
Yes, and the one thing that I've learned, it's the person who you become after the book as well, right? So just
Mhm.
like giving birth, the changes
Yeah.
you go through.
Oh God, yeah. People don't. I try to explain that to clients when they sign up with me. I'm like, this book is going to transform you, and they're like, oh well, no, because I'm going to have a book, and I'm like, no, 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 you don't understand. But I'm hearing what I'm saying. This process of writing a book and publishing it is going to change you, and it happens every single time, and it doesn't matter. Some people go through bigger changes than others. Granted, some people have been through huge transformations, but they always leave the process shifted or transformed in some way.
So what about you and your books and the shifts?
You know, one of the biggest things for me actually is my confidence and my self worth. Um, I had like such bad low self esteem, low self worth, huge imposter syndrome for years, like years and years and years and years. I mean, even up to the point of that didn't really start to shift and start to go through that journey until about 2015, 2016. So even the first few books, I was like, and that what's interesting about that is that I didn't have any confidence initially in my own voice. So not that I was plagiarizing or copying people's words, but I was copying their style because I didn't have confidence in my own self and my voice. So because my first few books are very spiritual, and I was a huge fan at the time. I mean, I still am, but I was a huge fan at the time of Hay House. So because I was like, I want to be a Hay House author, so I was just copying that kind of style in the belief that that was what's going to lead me to my goal. But because it wasn't my voice, I wasn't being true to myself, and they weren't necessarily the most successful books because there was a disconnect, right? So even if a reader can't put their finger on it, there's something subconscious where they're like, it's not quite meeting together. And
Mm,
actually now, I mean, since 2018, I now basically I write the way I speak
perfect. That's what I
because it's my
do.
voice. Like, why pretend to be anybody else? It's just like this is who I am, you know.
Exactly. And everyone has a special story to tell. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
truly believe. And the
Yeah,
only difference between all of our stories is some choose to put it in a book and others don't. Maybe they just tell their story, maybe they pass it on to their family or whatever,
yeah,
something like that. Now, one of the things that I know my husband, I watched him experience this, but I experienced it as well. When you start writing, you have this vision of what you want your book to look like or how it's going to flow. And then all of a sudden you're writing and going, no, I don't want it to go that way. I want it to go this way. So have you experienced a lot of that in your writing and even with the authors that you work with?
yeah. It's fascinating, right? Because, like you say, one of the things I think in life that trips us up the most is expectation, right? So we future project, and that's not just with writing or anything like that. It's with everything. We do it with relationships, we do it with connections, we do it with, you know, any kind of goal you have. You've already kind of done the script in your head. You've already done the movie, right? So you're like, I'm going to say this, they're going to say this, and 9 times out of 10, it doesn't tend to go the way you've already written it in your head, right? So that people then feel like disappointed, or they feel like they're failing, or they feel like it's wrong because it's different. And it's kind of the expectation is to try and go, do you know what? It's going to go the way it's going to go. And I have to just kind of go with that and trust the process and myself because however it does go, I know that I've got me, right? So, I mean, talking about Hay House, I mean, I was very fortunate. I got awarded the Louise Hay bursary to attend their writers workshop back in 2019. And so, as part of that, you got to submit a proposal to win a publishing contract with them. And again, even though at that point I still had confidence in my voice, it was Hay House, right? This was my dream. This was my big vision board thing, right? I'm like, oh my God, this is my moment. And so I was started to write for them in a way that, again, I thought they wanted. And it's the only time in my life, in my writing career, where I've ever experienced writer's block. And I would say to clients, writer's block actually it's actually there's a deeper reason why you're struggling to write. So it could be that whatever you're writing about is triggering you, right? So you've got to work through that, or you're not connected to what you're writing. at all. And for me, it was the latter. Like there was no joy there. It started to feel like it was homework for me. I was like, there was just, I wasn't connected. And so I took some reflection time because I didn't get it initially. I was like, why is this so hard? This is my dream. Like, what's going on? Took some time away from it, reflected, and I was like, I'm not writing the book I want to write. I'm writing the book I think I should write. Right.
Yeah.
So that was like a huge wake up call. And I had to essentially scrap. I mean, luckily I hadn't written too much, but I had to scrap about 90% of what I'd written and start again because and that hurt. Don't get me wrong. That was painful. But I had to write the book that I wanted to write and not the book I thought I had to write.
So what was the big difference? What was the book you thought you should write and the book that you wrote? What's the big difference?
The big difference is that I wasn't in the original version. So
Oh,
even though it was a non-fiction book, because it was all about connection to the divine feminine and the different archetypes of that and how you do that and all of that. When I say I wasn't in it, I mean my personality, my energy. I wasn't there at all. It was so like anybody could have written it.
yeah.
So it's yes, I did the same book, but I had to put me in there energetically, personality, again with my writing voice. I had to put myself in there, and so I mean, I didn't. What's funny is I didn't write. I didn't write. I didn't win the publishing contract with Hay House. But on reflection, I'm really happy that I didn't because, again, being self-employed, I need to do it my way.
Yeah, that's what I say too. It's experiences aren't bad. They're just an awareness of either what's working or what's not. It's just
Yes.
feedback, right? It's feedback.
Yeah.
And how does someone discover, I suppose, who or what they need to be writing, what they want to write? How does one do that really?
I mean, it's like that question, right? What is your life purpose? I mean, and I know that when I used to do tarot readings a lot, it was either tell me about my love life or tell me about my purpose, right? It was either or. And purpose, I think, as you know, it's like writing a book has become so convoluted and complicated in some areas. But actually, if you break it down, it's relatively simple. A, what are you passionate about? B, what do you know? And
Mhm.
C, how can you use those two things to help other people,
Mhm.
right? So you could be, I mean, I could be passionate about, I don't know, I could be passionate about a certain movie genre, for example. Do I know every single thing about that genre and those movies confidently to write a book about them? No. I could use that as a starting point to do more research and learn, sure, but I couldn't write a book about it today. At the same time, I know an awful lot about childcare because I used to work in childcare. I've been a teacher. I've got children. I know a lot about it. Am I passionate enough about it to write a book about it? No, absolutely not. So it's like, where is the sweet spot between the two? Where is the thing where it's ticking both boxes for you that you know enough or you can learn enough and you're actually connected and passionate about it? And that's what you're going to write a book about.
Exactly. And you just need to do it. Like you need to
Sure.
actually just take the time to do it, whether it's, writing on napkins or it's writing in a journal or it's something or writing in your phone or whatever. Like it's just to do it and see what it
Yeah.
feels like. Because
Yeah.
I have heard a lot of people, and I'm sure you have too. Oh, I'd love to write a book someday. Like I hear that a lot. And I'm like, just do it. What is it going to be about? You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I say to clients all the time because one of the things that happens is that some clients will get caught up in the first draft thing. Now, the first draft is essentially you're putting sand in the bucket. Like it can be as messy as hell. And I say to clients, I don't care. I don't care if it's not in the right order. I don't care if there's spelling mistakes everywhere. I don't care if you've got to cross bits out and move stuff. I don't care. All I care about is that you're putting something on the page. It's the second draft that we then edit that and format it and put it in the right order and stuff. I mean, literally, I had one client years ago now, bless her, and she, I think, had real kind of perfectionist tendencies. And so she was about, I'd say about a third, maybe of a way through the first draft. And we were having a feedback session. She sent me some writing, and I always read it and make notes, and we have a feedback call. And it was good what she'd done. And I never come on and go, oh, that's rubbish what you're doing. But my thing is, how can we make it better? Right. So I was like, well, this is what I think we can do to improve it, X, Y, and Z. And she looked really crestfallen. And I went, what's the matter? And she went, I was really hoping you'd tell me it was really good. I went, it is good. It's just, this is how you make it better. Why? And she went, I sent it off to a publisher. I said, without telling me. And she went, yeah. I went, right. I said, that's the first draft. I haven't done any editing or formatting on it. It's literally just you been writing your first draft and you sent it to a publisher. She went, yeah. And anyway, they came back a couple of weeks later and said no, that it wasn't in, it wasn't ready. It wasn't in the right state. And she abandoned the project altogether.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
so that's her journey, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe it'll get rewritten at some
Yeah.
point in regards to the perspective might be different.
Yeah, absolutely. But the point is, yeah, in terms of just start, your first draft is not going to be your finished project. Your first draft is going to be kind of rubbish and all over the place. But it's supposed to be. That's kind of the point, because you're trying to find the gold in amongst everything you've written. So you have to get it out of you, right? So yeah.
Yes, yes. And one thing I discovered, because I'm on my third adult's book, I've written now two children's book as well. But
Here's a quick pause in the conversation to invite you to join our Facebook community, Soulmates and Suitcases podcast. Tell your story, amplify your voice, where we share upcoming guests, new episodes, and conversations from the podcast. And you can catch all episodes on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Be sure to follow and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Now back to the show.
But because my three books were somewhat in a series, that's kind of had the way I wrote them. Each one sort of I discovered new things that I really wanted in there and were really important. So I'm assuming you probably see that in the progression of your authors as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Again, it's a double whammy of confidence in themselves and their voice, but also the refinement of their idea, right? Because again, I mean, then they say something like it takes like 5,000 hours to become an expert in something. I'm paraphrasing, but the more that you do something, the more you show up for a certain area in your life, the more you're going to be connected to it, the more you're going to get better at it. So doing a series is fascinating, because not that book one was bad, because I'm sure it wasn't, but by book three, you're kind of going, oh, like I really know what I'm doing now. And I know, like, it's like a whole confidence thing with it, right?
Yes, yes. Yeah, the clarity, the sort of trusting my message, trusting my story. And I think that's a big thing. And so you only work with women, correct, in publishing?
And no, majority, that's how I set it up. Yes, I would say, I mean, for 96% perhaps of clients are women, but I have had men, and I do have men. So I've had a guy in Canada write his memoir with me. I've got another guy over in Sweden, although he's originally from the UK. He's writing his memoir with me. I've got a guy in the UK writing his memoir with me. It's just that I find that the men who want to work with me are definitely in touch with their feminine side. That's not to say that they're not masculine, but they're more open perhaps to having conversations about emotions, about spirituality, about, all things that are seen as being predominantly feminine. That's the kind of men that I attract. But yeah, on the whole, it is mostly women.
So yes, so where, or not where, how does the process look like when someone first connects with you?
Absolutely. So the first protocol is to meet them, right? So we set up the infamous discovery call, because I have to kind of see, first of all, not only what is the book, but where are they at? Like, let me meet them as a person, because just because I'm good at what I do and I've done it for a long time doesn't necessarily mean I'm the right person to work with you.
It's true.
That's been a whole thing of lack mentality in the past, because I was like, well, they have to work with me, right? They can't go and the whole thing of lack mentality. Now I'm like, actually, this is going to be a working relationship. So you have to think that you can connect with me and vice versa. We have to get on, right? Because otherwise this is not going to work. You have to trust me, right? So we meet, and then I listen to them about their idea, or if they've started their project and what they've done so far. So I get a real clear vision about who they are and where they're at and what they're trying to do. And from there, we create a plan. So it's okay, what do you need from me? Is it the whole like from start to finish process where I've got you, I'm nurturing you, I'm supporting you, or is it more of a you're at a later stage and you need different things from me? So we create a plan, and then it's a case of normally most of the times is like I say, they do a bit of writing for me, and that can be anything from half a page to a whole chapter. They send it over to me. I read it. I make notes. We have a call. I give them feedback. We talk about their next bit. They go off. They write it. So in that process, they will create a first draft.
Oh, okay.
And then I then take that and I do my editing and formatting on it, and line editing, developmental, the whole thing. Give it back to them for them to read through it, make sure they're happy. And then of course it's like, well, we can change things, we can move things if you're not happy, blah blah blah. But then eventually they will end up with a final draft, and it's conversation then, well, do you want to self-publish it? I tend to use Amazon because it's free and it's relatively simple. I know they're a problematic company, but in terms of self-publishing, it's the easiest option. Or do you want to approach a publisher, in which case I help them then with the proposal and the cover letter.
Oh,
so they will get a finished book at the end of it, regardless of what path they choose to go through.
That's an amazing process that you offer that at the end. It's not just through your self-publishing. That's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I mean, the whole publishing process with a traditional publishing company, I do have to kind of let them know what that is, and it's not necessarily a guarantee. Neither is it a quick process. A lot of publishing companies at the moment are saying minimum 6-week turnaround, but some of them are saying like it's more 12 weeks, 16 weeks, because they're inundated. And of course, we've only got so many staff, right, to read things at any one time. So
yes, yeah. Writing books seems to have skyrocketed. It seems to be, it's just exploding, which is a good thing, because I feel like we're learning more about each other in this sort of genre, or this sort of medium, I guess it would be, which is really cool, really, really cool. Something came to me and it totally left my brain. That happens.
All the time. I will say, I remember reading the quote once. I don't know how true it is nowadays, but I remember reading that only 3% of the books that are published out into the world are the ones that are started and finished. So only 3% of people who start to write will publish. The rest of them at some point will give up or leave it by the wayside. Which, if you think, I always say to clients, if you think how many books there are in the world, and that's only 3%, is mental. But like I say, the percentages may have changed since I last read that quote. So,
Now, yeah, that's quite a statistic. One of the big things for myself as an author, and I'll ask you, Katie, if what your experience was as well, is that I never truly understood, like I had this vision as well too, like, oh, the book is going to sell and, lots of sales and all this sort of stuff. And it was like, nope, it ended up being more about the conversations I had with people and hearing their story. And some bought my book, some didn't. But for me and my own personal growth, I think when you talked about self-confidence, self-awareness, self-love, all those things, it was, going to a farmer's market and having your books there and having people come over, and literally within like minutes, they're telling you their personal private story, because that's the kind of story I wrote. And so that's been a really, really cool experience for me, becoming an author, because that's not something I've ever really experienced before. So it kind of reminded me that when I guess I take risks, it's kind of how I look at that word a little bit, but when I take risks and do things that are uncomfortable, it allows other people to be uncomfortable and join in, and maybe it's comfortable after a while. But have you experienced, like, what is your experience as an author that kind of stands out? It's like, I'm so grateful I became an author.
And I was very fortunate, perhaps fortunate the right words, but I was published by a publishing house here in the UK in 2018 and 2020, and my PR kind of media person at the company and I were having a chat one day, and we were talking about publicity and marketing for my next book, and he had the chance to read it, and he came on to the call and he was really emotional, right? And this was a guy who, again, he was probably in touch with his feminine side more than certain other types of men. But I had never seen him like that before. And I was like, oh my God, are you okay? And he went, I've just finished reading your book. And he said, I want to tell you before we go any further, I have never, he said, and I'm not saying this to be nice, I genuinely have never read a book that has reflected myself back at me. And you have made me see myself in a way that I haven't been able to. And this is going to be the next part of my healing journey through reading your book. And I was just like, oh my God,
Yeah.
that's huge.
That is huge, and it makes it worth it writing it. I know it didn't pay the bill of writing it, but it makes it worth it that you decided to share your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, your everything, and your ideas in a book, because to have it impact someone like that, that's incredible.
Yeah, I felt very, very, very blessed. And I've been so lucky to have so much really lovely feedback over the years that my books have, I think because I'm so vulnerable and I try and be very honest and open. I mean, I share, when I say I share everything, I don't share everything, but I try and share as much as I possibly can. And like you say, it's that permission, right? That permission that by me stepping into that space of being authentic, vulnerable, raw, that you allow other people the opportunity to do the same. And because of the nature of my books, the ones that come to mind instantly are the ones on finding my happiness after my divorce and my self-love journey of going from low self-esteem and the impact of that in my life. I think those two books in particular were the ones that led to the most amazing reviews, feedback, conversations about how they impacted the people who read them.
Yeah, incredible, incredible. So, having this sort of positive journey with your books, what's next on the horizon for you then, Katie?
Well, I'm doing something like I said earlier that I haven't done for a very long time, but I'm doing it in a very unique way now because I'm actually in the process of writing a novel, which I say I haven't written one since my first book, right?
Yeah.
But I'm co-authoring it with another writer. And it's the most amazingly fantastic experience. Like I really didn't know what to expect when I started this with her. But I always say it reminds me of that game you used to play when you were a kid, where you would draw the feet and then fold the paper up, and then somebody would draw the legs. Is that so? We take it in turns to write the chapters, right? So I'll write a chapter and then send it to her, and then she'll write the next one. And in my head, I'm going, okay, well, that's where I would take the story. Expectations, right? And yet, when she brings me her chapter, not that it's better, but she'll have done something with it that I go, oh my God, that's like I hadn't even thought of that. That's amazing. And it's a constant thing then of inspiring and playing with creativity in a different way. It's really stretching me, but it's so much fun.
That's amazing. Have you ever considered any of your books to be turned into a movie?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've done the whole because, like I say, I've got my memoir musically actually sitting in front of me, and I always kind of do like that joke in your head of going, "Who would play me in the movie?"
Who? Tell us.
Don't know because obviously I'd have to be on the casting call, right? Because obviously they've got to kind of look kind of similar to me, so I don't know. I'd have to really think about it.
Oh, that'd be lots of fun, though. I know I've mentioned that a few times before with my books, because my husband has written his whole life journey, his whole memoir book in his book, and mine are all of the more current. Oh, my dog is barking. Give me a moment. Yeah, so his book is all from like 50 some years ago, Scott's book, and so right up until almost current meeting him, and back in 2021. And my book is about my three books are from the time when we met in
Yeah.
2021 and forward. And so I've often thought of, all four books will need to be made into a movie. So I thought that'd be cool. It'd
That'd be
be
so cool.
really,
Yeah,
really
definitely.
cool.
Yeah.
Really cool idea. And you had mentioned your first book, you had your kids in 2012, your first book 2013. Your kids have only known you as an author, so have they gotten the bug themselves?
My daughter is very she loves English at school and she's very creative. So she likes to, I don't necessarily she wants to be a writer. I think she wants to go down the kind of the hair, beauty kind of path. She's like totally fast. She's autistic, so she's hyperfixated on that part of her life right now. But I see her at school and some of the stories that she does, and yeah, she's definitely got that creative bug in her. It's just how it will come out. But my two sons are more kind of the math, science, technology aspect. So they're just creative in a different way. So
Yeah, and ultimately, just like what you said, your sort of your theme going through your books for yourself was about building the confidence and showing that you're capable and able and you want to and follow your dreams. I mean, that's the ultimate, right? To show your children.
absolutely. I say to my kids all the time, we live in a society where it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I hate that they say that to
Yes.
kids because I say, don't do that. I say, follow the subject that you like, that you're passionate about, and the path will show itself. Just keep following that path. It doesn't matter. You don't have to have the ultimate goal in mind. Just keep walking. It will show itself at some point.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And so you've been an entrepreneur for many, 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 many years. And so what would you say is the biggest advice maybe that you would offer in doing this all on your, because you're on your own, right? Doing all of
Yeah.
this at this point.
Yeah.
And so what is it like? Like what can you offer someone who would love to do something similar or reach out to you, of course, but
I think it's a case of know your why first and
yes.
foremost, right? You have to know why you want to do what you want to do. I mean, we live in a world again that's very money driven, right? And we all know that money is incredibly important. I'm not saying it's
Yeah.
not. Having a dream is one thing, doesn't put food in the fridge. You have to kind of you have to know your why. And I do think it has to be more than just money. I think because on the tougher days or the tougher weeks, perhaps, if you don't have that connection and that passion, it's very easy to throw in the towel,
Yeah.
right? You have to kind of have the underlying, the foundation of this matters to me because, right? So for me, like, yes, it is to make my own dreams come true, because I believe that they've been given to me for a reason. It is to provide a solid foundation for me and my children. It's also a little bit of a big two fingers up to people that said that they couldn't do it and they didn't believe in me, right? You got to prove some people wrong here or somewhere
Yeah.
along the line.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Exactly.
also, I mean, as a multi-passionate entrepreneur, which is basically that, as you've seen, I do more than one thing. I say to people that it's good to have what I call the umbrella. So my umbrella is I empower women, right? What that means is that I can dangle anything I want underneath that umbrella because it all comes under that guise, right? So it's your what, why, and how to a point. And when you have clarity on that, I think it makes life slightly easier. The other thing that I will say is, and I say it all the time, that's become one of my little mantras I say, is one job at a time.
Yes.
Because it's really easy to get overwhelmed. Like
Oh,
so quickly. I mean, it's easier in the day to distract myself. I'm not immune from it. Those nights in bed in the dark on your own, your brain starts kind of like, oh my God, I've got so much to do. And I'm just like, just go to sleep. We'll just start tomorrow with one job. And then we'll see either, it depends. I mean, the brain can only hold a focus for a certain period of time, right? After that, you'll notice your brain kind of wanders off. That's a
yeah.
sign to get up and do something else. So I either go until my brain does that or until the project's completed, whatever kind of comes first. But try and stay with one thing and
Yeah.
then move on to another thing. And it's like if you do one job at a time or one bit at a time or one chip away at a time, everything will get done.
Yes, yes, exactly. The saying that I always say, I don't love the saying, but it's so true. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. That's
Yeah.
the only way you can eat it. And just like you said, we'll focus on one thing. I'm just gonna get my doggy down.
There's the Mark Twain quote as well, which is "Eat the frog," which is also not a nice quote, but what it means is
Yeah.
do the thing you don't want to do first. So do the horrible job first and get it out of the way. Because a lot of people do the more fun things, the pleasant things first. I mean, when I was at school, and we had this, I was born in 81, so pre-computers, and so it was a lot of paper, and so I had this like big project to do in food studies, and I spent probably a good majority of the time coloring in borders, because I love to be creative and color things in, right? But I wasn't actually doing the content that went in the middle of the page. I was just making it look pretty around the outside.
Exactly. But that's the thing too. I think a lot of people forget is when we have these quiet moments in our life, that's when the creativity and the ideas come in. I don't know if you experience that as well.
Oh, do you know, one of the things I've come to realize is the power of going for a walk.
Hmm.
Like walking, I go walking now every day, and sometimes it's just half an hour, but and without music on. I should caveat that as
Yes.
well. I love music. I am like, music is everything to me. But when I'm going out for a walk, I don't wear headphones. I just walk, and I find that sometimes, not every time, sometimes it becomes a very creative space where ideas will start to just flow into my head, to the point that I have to grab my note app on my phone and start like frantically typing, because they're just coming and I can't. And then you think like, oh, when I get home, I'll write everything down. The danger with I'll do it later, is that the energy of that, the full capacity of that may slip away. I think you have to grab it when it comes in.
Yes. And there is some statistic in actually writing it down versus
Yeah,
typing it. That's another
yeah,
thing as well.
yeah, yeah. I know that thing of like, when you're in bed and you have an idea and you're like, oh, I'll remember that in the morning. No, you won't. It's gone.
No, you won't. Yeah. Do you suggest any sort of AI tools to your authors, like speaking into, like recording your voice to get your story down?
Yeah, I find that AI is a really good tool for me for like planning and structure. I think that the danger comes when people start using it for content.
Yeah.
Um, I know Amazon, on their KDP, you do have to tick a box now that says that you haven't used AI in the content creation. So I think you have to have boundaries with AI, because it becomes very tempting just to keep leaning in. But it can be very useful, especially if you've not done it before. You've not written a book before, or
Yeah.
lean into creativity. So it's a good starting point, because it helps you organize your thoughts. It helps give you that container, that structure that you can then build upon yourself.
Exactly. And like you said, you just have to do it. You just have to
Yeah.
go and start. That's the best thing. You just start. And so what do you all so you have a set program for your authors. That's how can you just describe a little more about that?
Yes, actually, what's really, timing is that I've actually, for the first time ever since I made it in 2022, I've actually broken it down like this
Okay.
weekend into coaching and the productivity. I can speak now. So that, because I was lumping everything together, but actually I was doing myself a disservice in the process of it. So now we have the coaching element of it, which again is this, me showing up for you, me supporting you, me nurturing you, the developmental edits, making sure that you're on the right track, that it's flowing, and all these conversations. And then there is the more of the process production element of it, which of course then we're getting into the proofreading, the editing, the publishing side of it. But it is very bespoke. It's very personalized into what people need. I also now ghostwrite as well. So that's a very different skill. If you think, well, I've written books, I have helped people write books, I can do ghostwriting, and I can. It's just very, very different, because now it becomes you're writing a book with someone in their voice,
Okay,
right?
so explain it to me because I haven't worked with anyone in regards to ghostwriting, what that looks like. So can you explain it exactly the process?
Yes. So ghostwriting can be for somebody who perhaps is not confident in their own ability, or doesn't have the time to sit and write at all, like just doesn't have the capacity for it in their life. But they have an idea, so they want a book written, right? So again, the starting meeting. And then for me, what works is that I interview them essentially. So we get onto a Zoom call and I record it just like this. And so I know what the chapter is roughly before I come on the call. So if is it the first chapter, what's in there, what is it they want to focus on. So I come with a preset list of questions or pointers and get them to talk about it and to expand. And so I try and cover as much as I possibly can in that space, and then take that recording and turn it into a transcript, which I can then use as a tool then to write the chapter. And I send it to them once it's done to make sure they're happy with it, not just in terms of content, but in terms of voice. And that's a big thing, right? Because again, the whole point of ghostwriting, a good ghostwriting is you shouldn't know it's been ghostwritten, right? So I have to find their voice. And sometimes that can be as simple as certain phrases they use or certain, kind of even spellings of words or anything like that. It's trying to narrow down and lock down on their writing style, tone of voice, personality, so that you can take the theme of the book and turn it into something that is very believably written by them, even though it's not.
Okay, I understand. And so when the book is published, it has their name on it. It has,
Yes,
yes.
yes, yes. And there are celebrities out there, I know, I shan't mention their names because I don't want to get sued, but I know their books have been ghostwritten. Now, can I tell that? No. I only know because I know. Like I know the people who have written them for them. But I say a good ghostwritten book, you shouldn't be able to tell that it's been written by somebody else.
Wow. So just out of curiosity, because I don't know what this would look like. So if I had my three books, Scott's book, could those be given to you and you write a story that would include those books?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing about ghostwriting is it's a very collaborative process. Although ultimately the author's name, as in your name, would be on it, not mine. It
Yeah.
is a collaborative process between us, so that it's not just a case. I think, like you say, the misunderstanding of what it is, because I have had one person just try to say to me, well, I want to write a book about this, go and do it. And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't work like that,
Yeah.
because otherwise it's my book, right?
Yeah.
It has to be your book. You have to be in it. Therefore, you have to give me content to write, basically. But then I've also had one saying, well, you've just taken what we spoke about and turned it into the chapter. I was like, yeah, that's the point. So it's kind of making sure that there's clarity and boundaries about what the process looks like on both sides, so everyone's very clear on what it entails and how it works.
Yeah, it makes sense now. Makes sense. So is there anything I've missed? I didn't kind of go over with you that you want to make sure that our audience knows about?
Final pause. If you've got a message on your heart and want to be our guest, don't be shy. We'd love to hear from you. Visit forwardwalkingchoices.com, scroll to the Soulmates and Suitcases podcast section, and click apply here. Now back to the show.
Can I just mention the story around the book that's just come out? Is that okay?
Please,
Fab.
please.
So this book, and I have a copy to hand because you've always got to be prepared. So this
Yeah.
is my latest book. This is called Self-Love Manifesto. It came out on the 1st of May. It's available on Amazon. And what's interesting for me is the story around this book. Okay. So this book was originally, this book was originally published in 2020. This was the second book published by the publishing company, right? And it wasn't called back then. The original title of it was Self-Love Pledge. And I say the second book with the company, I was so happy, so excited. And as part of working with them, I got to go to London and I gave a talk at Watkins Books, one of the oldest bookshops in the world. And I got to sign some copies, and the talk was the themes around the book. And so that was filmed and then put on their YouTube channel.
Oh.
And I was buzzing. I mean, to see your book in the window of a bookshop and I was so happy. And came home on the train, and my best friend lives in Florida. Okay. So I woke up the next morning and my phone was blowing up, and I was like, what is going on? Two people had come in the comments of that video on YouTube and were attacking me. and saying some quite vicious and malicious things about my character and my personality and the person that I am. And my best friend, being my best friend, of course, was defending me to the hilt. It got to the point that Watkins turned the comments off there. Anyway, the book is out. It's doing really well. I've been having some really good reviews and great conversations. And I was so happy with it. It was my teaching memoir about my journey of self-love. So it was very personable to me. It was like, I felt like I just opened a vein and bled on the page. Not literally, but it was so raw, so personal. Anyway, 15 months later, I was taking the children away on holiday. And the week before, as a mom, you're like running around like a headless chicken, trying to remember everything, packing everything. And I was pushing the shopping cart across to get to the car, and my phone was ringing, and I didn't answer it because my hands were full. But when I picked up the voicemail, it was, "Hi, Kate, so-and-so at the publishing company. We've had an email through from a specific person threatening to sue you for libel." My heart and stomach fell into my feet. I am an overthinker. We've also established that I have a very strong imagination. So in my head, I'm now in prison, right? In my head, I've got an orange jumpsuit on. My kids are visiting me behind glass, right? That's where my brain goes. Managed to drive home. Don't remember driving home, but managed to drive home and dump the bags in the kitchen, rang them back, all panicky. I was like, oh my God, what's happening? And they said, this person said that they've just found out about the book. And I said, well, that's not true, because they knew 15 months ago. How do you know? And I said, well, they did the comments on the YouTube video. Okay, because libel can only be brought within 15 months, 12 months of publication. So if they knew about it, there's no case, right? Bear in mind that in the book, I didn't name them specifically. I didn't say anything that wasn't true, but they're not happy, right? So went back to Watkins, took a screenshot of the comment section, sent it over to the publishing company, and they said, oh yeah, there's no legal case here. And bear in mind, there was never, the email was all there ever was. There was no lawyers, solicitors, legal case, nothing. It was just that email. Go on holiday, try and enjoy yourself, it will be fine. Okay, sure, fine. So we're down by the coast, and one of these holiday parks where the Wi-Fi is rubbish, but I managed to find a spot, and I'm checking my email. And it was the publishing company a few days later said, yeah, there is no legal case here, but on reflection, we decided to drop the book and we'll give you the rights back. And it really broke me for a minute, because again, it was like I had been rejected, right? It was like, yeah. So it was a very difficult process to work through. I've been in therapy, not just for that, I have been in therapy, spoken about it, and did nothing with it for 5 years, just sat on it. And then went through some stuff with a guy this year that kind of ended up with me feeling more empowered, ultimately, thank God. And I was like, I'm ready to, and I've rewritten it. So there is probably about 25% of the original content. That person from the original is not in it at all now. I'm not daft. But most of it is new content. And I said, I'm going to self-publish this and stand in my power, stand in my voice, own it. And so, yeah, it came out, and I'm just so blooming proud of that, and myself for doing that, truly.
Well, congratulations. I can tell. I can see the pride. That's awesome. Awesome. So awesome. And manifesto is definitely what's that word? A key word, a big word nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Every chapter has, so it's not chapter 1, chapter 2. It's like thou shalt. So I wanted to lay out like a manifesto. So, for example, thou shalt accept that self-love isn't selfish. Thou shalt find your backbone and face your challenges. So, like, I'm trying to say, like, these are key elements of self-love.
Beautiful. Absolutely incredible. That's so amazing. What a great way to end the show.
Yay!
That's so awesome.
Yeah, the key thing is, like, it's like we said at the start, if you got that person where you're like, oh, I'd love to write a book one day, just start. Just do it. Just do it.
So with that, where can they find you, Katie Oman?
Absolutely. So I have my website, of course. I try and make things as simple as possible. So my website is ktoman, which is oman.co.uk, or you can find me on social media. I have the same handle across everything. Like I say, making it as straightforward as possible. And that's at ktoman1111. So come and say hi. I got any questions or anything you want to chat about, I'm always available.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Katie, for joining me today. And for those who are listening and watching, we are very grateful that they are here. And we would love for them to leave a review or to share this, because there's many people out there who do want to write a book.
Yeah.
And also to make sure that our viewers and listeners are subscribing and turning on those notifications for all of our episodes that get aired. And so we will again thank you very much, Katie, for joining us, and we wish you all the best.
Yeah. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, everybody.
All
Have a
right.
great day.
Super. Thanks, Katie. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Looking for more inspiration around healing, love, growth, and possibility? You can explore our books at payhip.com/Lisa Scott Brearley Authors. And if today's episode meant something to you, we'd love for you to follow the podcast, share it with someone you care about, or join our Soulmates and Suitcases community online. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time.